We've got a Majestic Class C. You can see that up there. Oh, you can see we got all this scaffolding here. That's the way we do our job. We get everything all wrapped, doors, plastic here and there. We've got everything all taken care of now. And normally I go around and do a video to show you what we got before we get started. But my guys are so eager, they jump right on in. So they took off this turn bar here. That's all they took off really, and started going along. But you can see how much slobbered over die core they have. So we mark everything so we know where it goes. More than likely, see that's an acrylic. We're probably going to replace that with a polycarbonate because it probably isn't going to hold up in the long run. Then this is your typical RV roof. I'm trying to see if there's any big breaching in here, but if you look at this, I'm trying to get close real slow so I don't blur out. See all that little cracking in there? You see all these basically liver spots. Those are indication that the roof is coming to failure. But all that little cracking, the little tiny cracking in there, I call it eggshelling. Some places call it spider webbing, spidering. Looks more like when you crack a hard-boiled egg, right? The shell. And you see that, roof's gone. So might as well look for another one. Over here, we'll put one on. Alright, so here you got the water will run down here and it'll go right down into this boot right here. See that little gap right in there? It'll trickle right down in there. So if you have one of these, what you want to do, you see, the water will go right down in there. Load that with caulking. Load up inside the boot here with caulking. Then when you push it down, it should ooze out right here. So that'll help stave that off. But this is your typical put them down and caulk around it type roof, like we've done on all the other ones. The deck so far seems pretty good as I'm walking along it, but that doesn't mean anything. We'll end up getting rid of that antenna and putting another one on there. Sometimes we open them up and you have some delamination. This is a ply foam roof, and we open it up. I'll show you what ply foam is, but it's essentially there's foam. You have your roofing, then you have a thin layer of 1/8 inch plywood, you have foam, and then you have ceiling, which is 1/8 inch plywood, and then your ceiling texture. So that's essentially applied foam, and it gives it a little bit more, it reduces the weight quite a bit, and I like them. If they're put together proper, they're really strong, and I do like them. And actually we're building one over there, applied foam roof. That's what we're building for this other Class C that's over there, so you can watch that video as well. It'll probably be up before this one does. But that's a little Toyota one over there. That whole roof system's shot. But my point is, it's a good system. It works well if it's done right and designed right. So, well, let's get to work tearing this down, and then we'll keep you posted on the rest of it. Let's check out the damage to this Majestic. You need curbs. If they don't have curbs, it's going to leak. They have that cap right there for the plumbing. Screwed it down. You can see it's rotted there. Rotted there. Rotted there. Also around all there. So they just got lucky right here. But it looks to me like there's a little tinge right here. Looks like it is starting to go. So we got some D-lam down there. So obviously we're going to have to redeck this. And I'm looking at where this air conditioner was sitting, and I'm noticing just a little bit of a belly in there. It's got a little bit of a dip in there. We're going to see if we can straighten that out a little bit and see if we can kind of bring it back to life. We can go inside and jack it up, and then we're going to have to redeck it anyways. So now what we're going to do is see what we can get on here for decking. That'll add a little more strength to the roof, not just smoothness, but strength. So when we put the AC back again, we don't want to have this scenario. Even if we did put our roof down on here anyways, you wouldn't have any issues with any leaks or anything because it's all heat welded, right? Alright, well, let us get to work and figure out what we're going to do. We gotta get rid of that antenna. We've got a new lid on our Majestic. So we glued down. You can see how much glue we use. We use an adhesive foam glue. This is really tight. There's probably a couple areas you need to sand down, but We probably don't need to throw any strips going across. It looks good. But now, clean her up, make sure everything's seated right, glue some roofing on it. We're gonna rock and roll. All right, so we've got this passenger side. We've already got it glued and rolled and all that. Now we're just getting the glue out here, and then we're gonna get this other piece on there. She's looking good, coming together. We were trying to take off this corner piece here. It runs all the way up to the roof. We took all this out. It looked kind of compromised coming around this edge, meaning it wasn't sealed well. So I said, well, let's just take it off anyways, and let's do it right, make sure we don't have any water coming in here. And I don't know if you can see how bad this all is. This all rotted. Water came out. So we're gonna need to rebuild this bunk. And come around the other side, you can see how rotted that is. There's really no framing in here, see? There's no framing. So all that shakes when you get all that headwind. And as this thing, you know, goes, as it's going down the road, I mean, it's kind of going back and forth, going up. I mean, it's wallowing all over the place. But there's no strength in it to keep that all tight. That's why these things usually shake loose. And that's why when let's say shake loose and the caulking comes free. And when all that happens, and you start getting leaks, and you get this whole rot right here. So we're going to reframe and put some more gussets up inside there, some more bracing, like we usually do anyways. But like I said, all this is going to come out. I mean, it's a mess. We sprayed it all down. It was sopping wet. We sprayed it down all with mold kill, and then we hit it a second lick to make sure. But that's what we got to do, take it all apart. Probably have to get this scaffold out of the way too, so we can work with it and take that front piece off. It's a mess. It's a mess, but we'll get it back together. That's what we do. I'll just give you an idea. So now this come in for a roof and a redeck at best, and then this turned into now a bunker rebuild, which nobody really expected. So when you actually come up underneath, and you know, you kind of hit up underneath here to see how soft it was. It wasn't all so bad. It didn't feel all that bad. When we saw that water coming out, it was obviously it was evident. And this was so black the other day. I'm glad we sprayed it down. It was really sopping gross. So, but anyhow, that's where we are. But you're getting into, you know, this needing a roof and then now a bunk rebuild. It just throws our calendar off. And we try to move these as best we can. But what are we going to say? Hey, Mr. Customer, sorry, we're not going to fix this because we got to get another coach in. Of course not. So it's already in the bay. We'll tear it apart, and we're going to get on it and rebuild it all out and put it back together. All right, got this piece out. It's right here. It's all boogerfied. That's the interior right here. Can you smell that? Oh, that's some good stuff right there. We got the platform out. Let's go take a look at it, because it's a mess. Right, here's our platform that we took. We got a little bit of a corrosion hole there. Look at there. So we got to add some strength to it. Get it all put back together. That's what we're looking at right here. This is our Majestic platform. So we had to rebuild this here, as you can see, and we're about ready to get it in there. What you can't see, which I was trying to really get the camera on, is we put some more struts in there. You've got, you know, stock in here, wood stock, to give it some strength. There was only a rail here, there was a rail there, and they had those two rails that we had shown you, and those two rails, one of them was missing and the other one was all rotted out. It was just oxidized bad. So what we did is put some more sticks going across there, some 1x stock, you know, 3.5. We ripped them down and put them in there. Then we glue everything all together. It's all glued. And then we had there was just a shade of a discrepancy on this, so we just hit it with a lick of Bondo on there, and we're just going to smooth it over, and so we can put the padding on there. And then that'll be the top deck, and then we'll put the fiberglass back up underneath there. So that's that. This is a new skin for the back by the bumper. That's the relief cuts for the bumper over there. And then we'll get the fiberglass on here, and then there's a sheet of aluminum that goes on the inside of that. On the inside over here in the top, this was one of their pieces that they had on here, this whatever you want to call that, drawing, but you can tell that this had already been skinned over. Somebody had already skinned it. That's the original, and somebody went over at least the bunk portion that we could see, they went over it with another sheet of this same MDF, and it's just got some wallpaper on there. It's actually a piece of Luan. Looks like they went over it with some wallpaper and then stenciled that on, perhaps, I guess. But this piece in here was all rotted, so somebody tried to weld it all back together up there. We had to actually cut that because we couldn't get it out. And my concern was I wanted to make sure this piece wasn't rotted. I don't mind putting it back. I'm trying to keep it all the same. But at the same point, I want to make sure that, so I'm going to take it apart real easy. I know we got some rips right here. So what we're going to try and do is salvage that. Maybe we can get a piece of molding or something. Yeah, it must have been a decal. There's a wrinkle. But we're going to maybe get a piece of molding or something, possibly, if I can salvage. I'm not saying I will be able to, but if I can. So that's where we're at right now, because we'll never be able to find that paper anyways, or even replace this and find out what that is. And they may want to do something different to it. A lot of times what we do is just leave it like this, just the finish of the, like this over here. And we'll leave it there. So, you know, like with the Luan, and then folks can go and put their wallpaper on or whatever they want. So this way they're not relying on my decorative skills and talents to jazz up their coach. So that's where we're at so far. We'll give you more when we start getting it together. So I just pulled that piece off the front. And that came off of this side, and I flipped it over because I was real suspicious about this interior piece that was underneath that other one I just showed you. Look at there. You want that in your coach? No. So it was a good judgment call. You know, I get a little suspicious when I see certain things. I know where water goes and sometimes where it gets trapped and then what soaks it up and stuff. So obviously we're going to replace all that, strip it down, and then I'll reframe all this and put it back. And then that piece actually looks pretty good, and I may be able to use it as a skin. We're going to try, because that piece doesn't have the damage. This is all up underneath. It didn't get through. It didn't get through the whole sheet on this side. See, because the paper had protected it. So it's just on there. So I'll be taking this piece off though. I'll take all of this off, all this piece. And then I'll just replace it with that one over there. I'm pointing with my thumb, this one. Obviously there's an aluminum frame, you can see that. But they got a little weld here. They do have one on this one. But on this one, that's it right there. That's the only weld on this. And if you look, that'll just snap right there. Right there. Oh. Ta-da! That's why I'm not a fan of aluminum frames, because the alloy is really cheap too. I could almost bend this with my fingers. I can feel it already starting to want a bow. Maybe I have to do some of those spring exercises or something. But I mean, it's just so cheap that, and people don't think the aluminum will rust. It doesn't really rust per se. They don't call it rust, they call it oxidizing. But it'll do the same thing. Nothing's impervious to the elements. So that's what I'm negotiating now. I'm probably going to say this lower frame, but I got to do something over here, and I got to do something down there that's already compromised, right? So we'll figure it out whether I want to do that or just make a whole new wooden frame and put it on there and see what I can salvage. If it's even worth salvaging. This one I like. It's pretty strong, but even still, when you put a screw to it, it's not going to be as strong as if I got a piece of wood stock in there to carry it. And this one is going to be sitting like this, and then you have the platform, and then there's a radius that I made that's over here. That radius right there that I custom built with all that iso board insulation and everything in there. That radius is going to come around. So this is going to be the top, and then this part is the bottom. So I want to make sure all of that, because that piece over there sits right here, but it goes up the roof. So I want to make sure all of that is tied in really strong. So now as a coach is going down the road and that platform is just wanting to bounce with the road, you want to be able to hold it all together. You got to get it to work in concert or it'll start falling apart. Let's see what we got going on. We are coming back together. So we got the platform in up under here, built a new radius, and that's the front piece. And then these are some straps that we put on to give it some strength, and it wraps all the way up and over to get it to work to kind of hold the bounce as it's going down the road. It just make it all stay together so it doesn't shake anything apart. We'll get some wires going over here for the lights. This is the front fascia cap. This is a molded piece of fiberglass. This isn't the Phylon that is normally on the sides, like right here. This is one piece, and it's got a little portion that curves up right there, and you can see this portion curves back to go up underneath the bunk. So the big concern that I have is once you rebuilt this, there's probably going to be some condensation and moisture built up. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a house wrap, keep all that moisture out. This house wrap will allow things to breathe. So we're going to put this on. Then any moisture, at least it won't get anywhere, and hopefully it'll dissipate out is the best we can do. Just short of trying to drill holes and put ventilation in it, you know. But this is about all we can do to protect everything. So, our Majestic, that one light out there, that's an LED. We don't have them kind here. I couldn't replace it. So, I was going to give you an idea of what we did on the inside. This is the bunk we rebuilt here. See the platform? So we got all that, put the padding down. And then we tried to, you know, we made all that fit, and I made that shelf on the top. Before it was angled. So we put that little shelf in there. Put the trim all back. I wanted to make it look original to go with the rest of the coach, because that's the texture in the thing, so in the wallpaper, right? So I wanted to make sure it was all the same. Nothing looks worse when you go and you look at a coach, and if you've ever looked at any, and this doesn't line up with that, and that doesn't match this, and it gets you kind of scratching your head saying, what happened here? Is there something still underlying that's a problem? So, but the pad is up underneath this. You can't really see what we did, but we put a nice skin on it. But then he had this one, this type of pad up on here for his mattress. So that's us. So we got everything back together, looking well. Thanks for watching. We are done with our Majestic. We are done. We've been done for a while. We are done. RVRoofInstall.com. December of 19. Alright, so what we got on this coach. This is a structured TPO. TPO is thermoplastic. That's what it is. It's a thermoplastic membrane, commercial grade. In fact, here is a picture of what we use. This is Carlisle's. So it's Sherweld. It's a 60 mil thick, but it's a reinforced membrane. See what the reinforcement is? If you look in there, you'll see all the little squares. That's a mesh that's built into this membrane, and it resists punctures from like hail and tree branches and things. So it's a much better roof. This is a real commercial roof that you're going to find on a hospital, on a office building, library, restaurant. Same exact installation. So we took the time to make these curbs, and these curbs are all heat welded. All of that's all heat welded. The whole thing is not just that little edge, but the whole width of it all the way around. So it's going to be a heck of a water drop to try to get around that. We've got them on all of them. Even the refrigerator. Then on the air you see over here, we also fabricate up these little feet. And all that does give us some balance. That's all it does. Gives it some balance, but it too has the same flange and counter flash, which is a top piece. That's a counter flash. So if you get caught in the rain, it's a heavy storm, and that water is just blowing across the roof, it's going to run up to that curb like that, and that counter flash is going to stop it. It's not going to be able to even hop over. I mean, obviously you get water coming down, but you're going to minimize the erosion effect that water will have as it's going across like that if the counter flash wasn't there. So that's what you experience when you put these down, like the RV manufacturer does. When they put these down and just slobber it with caulking, and all that water keeps running across, you're getting an erosion effect which wears on it. So you really need to have these elevated. This is how a flat roof functions. You need to have them elevated up off the roof line. If you were to Google flat roof images, you'd see the air conditioner is up on basically a box. It's a curb. It'll be up on a box, and it'll have flashing, which is, like I said, is right down here. That's the flashing part of it, and that gets heat welded back to the main roof. And it'll have counter flashing, and the counter flashing is the flange part. And it has a flange up underneath there. There's a flange on the top. On this, we have the same design, but we went one step further, because now water is going to come down this way, and as it does, I don't want it to trickle back up underneath and get to that foam gasket. So this piece is another counter flash that goes up underneath the cover. So when the water comes around, it hits that counter flash, drips off, and then it goes under the counter flash that we have for the curb, and out she goes. So we're just giving the water a different direction to go. This is a 20-year roof membrane. We go around all the edges here with 2 layers. Everything is all layered twice, all the caulking. Got 2 strikes on it. So we put the first layer for the gutter here, which we actually put gutters on this. It didn't have any. But when we put that turn bar on there, that gutter rail, there was caulking behind it. We don't use butyl. When all that caulking burps up, we strike it down. When that cures, we take the caulking gun, put 1 strike on. When that cures, we go back. So I guess if you want to say we got 3 on there, you could. But there's 2 on the top. And that's what keeps all the water out. On the, there's an insert trim, because it's a track that goes down. That's just a flat stock. So once you secure that down, the roofing is up underneath there. And that's what cinches it. That's, in the commercial business, we call that a termination bar. They call it a flat trim stock or something. But anyhow, there's a little insert vinyl that goes in there. There's this piece right here too. And when they go in, the old kind, they just snap in. The stuff that we use, it snaps over and in. Let's see if I got a demo. If I can find my demo, I'll show you. But this is what it is. Get a good look at that. So it's got a groove right there that will snap in and over that track. So it keeps all the water out. That's what we want, all the water to stay out. So again, everything is all double striked. And then we also did rebuild the bunk. We showed you all that. And then when we get this thing freed up and everything, I'll go down and show you, give you a clip of the inside of how the bunk come out. And should be ready to go. But that's our Majestic. We appreciate you watching. If you got any questions, give us a call. Here's our website, RV Roof Install, rvroofinstall.com. Hopefully you can read that on there. It should be on the screen as well. There it is right here. Here's our website. Here's our telephone number. We are located in the fine city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia. Thanks for watching.